Hey, it's Christian with TaxProMarketer, and I've got my colleague Noah Jenks here. Right now, Noah and I wanted to spend some time talking to you guys about ads. We are recording this in the middle of December. Ads are always something you should consider, but definitely right now, whether you're tax preparation focused, bookkeeping, accounting, tax representation, whatever it is you're focused on, or all of it, advertising is something you need to pay attention to. So we're going to talk through some of the reasons to consider doing ads. We're going to talk about some of the dynamics within the advertising environment right now. There's a lot of change happening right now, and there will probably be even more change in the coming months. Some of it may be, kind of earth shattering or shaking within just the digital marketing space. We'll talk about some of that. But the bigger picture that we're trying to get to for you here, kind of the point, is if you're looking to grow, if you're looking to get more leads, you have to consider and probably utilize ads. Paying for ads, just generally speaking, is you're paying for your leads, right? You are paying Google or Facebook or YouTube or TikTok, wherever you want to advertise, you are paying for visibility. Some of you have experience with advertising as a strategy and it's not worked. I want to recommend that that's not necessarily the advertising platform itself fault. A lot of times people don't know what they're doing. So maybe you tried to manage ads yourself. Maybe you had someone else manage ads for you and it didn't work. That happens, right? That totally happens. So if that's you, we get it. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for listening. But ads can absolutely work. And we've got some data and examples and some things Noah and I've even talked about recently that we can reference and just give you some encouragement. But the general idea is if we're in December, which we are, and tax season starts in a month-ish, which it does, and you're wanting to grow, which I hope you do, then ads is a tool that you have to use and you have to think about. And we'll talk about some of the different places to advertise, again, some of the ins and outs, some of the things just to be aware of. And hopefully this helps you guys feel a little bit more clear and confident with how this could play a role with you and your firm. Noah, let me welcome you to the preamble part of our presentation here. Tell me what you think about ads as you're talking to clients or prospective clients about ads. How are you framing it? And maybe even you might piggyback on what I've just mentioned, but when is it right for someone to advertise and when is it not right for someone to leverage advertising as a vehicle? So give us a little riff and then let's jump into some of the more specific content.
Yeah, so Christian, ads are, dumping some gasoline on the fire of marketing. Ads are saying, I'm going to rank instantly now for the exact search terms in the exact location in the exact timing. We're going to build out the exact landing page to direct and guide where these prospects are going. When ads are done well, you have a lot of control over who you're targeting, how you're getting seen in front of them, and your lead acquisition. So this time of year, going into tax season, there's it kind of comes up with like, why wouldn't you run ads? Whether your marketing is working or isn't working for you right now, depending on where you are in that journey, because marketing is a journey. We have to make that distinction right now that marketing and advertising are two different things. The end result is the same, client acquisition, but they're two different strategies on how you can do that. So don't lump them both into the same category. But when it comes to ads, they are seasonal. January through April, yeah, people are looking for a tax professional, a business tax specialist. People are still looking for accounting services, for bookkeeping services. This is the time when the most people are going to be searching for this. So when you position yourself in front of all of those searches, the direct result of that is you get more leads, you get more prospects, you have more opportunities to close the right type of clients. Now, the platform is changing. We'll talk about this. There are things that we need to be aware of, what does this online climate for ads even look like right now?
Mhm.
This isn't a webinar on AI by any means, but Christian, we probably should talk about AI is
Yes.
starting to disrupt. It's starting to kind of change a little bit of how are people integrating with ads? How are people utilizing ads? I don't know. Give me your thoughts on zero click search. That's kind of a big one right now.
Right. Right. And so the idea there is something that, again, it's like a fish in water. The fish doesn't realize it's in water. Someone comes by and asks it, how's the water in there? And the fish says, what is water? We all live in this world of Google doing things that we just kind of embrace, sometimes not knowing what we're seeing, the technological revolution that's happening. And so when we talk about zero-click searches, what we're getting to is AI baked into lots of platforms, Google especially, is starting to summarize the answer to the question you searched for. So if you search for the question, what's the best accountant near me? Historically, you would see three things: paid ads at the top, a map with three businesses at the bottom, and then websites that show up beneath it. And now what we're seeing is, in fact, a new area. It's not new as in this month, but new as in like the last year for sure. You're starting to see the AI Gemini Google summary of, hey, if you're just looking for the best person, just like a ChatGPT search, if you've used that, or a Gemini or a Claude search, if you're using those platforms, it's just reducing it down to, instead of showing you results, it's telling you the answer, right? And so it's telling you the answer based on all the same factors, actually. So if you want to rank in like ChatGPT for like Denver, Colorado, who's the best accountant? It's actually all the same parameters up to this point. How's your website built? How are your reviews? What are people saying about you in those reviews? What's your content like? What are your blogs like? So if you asked us to do a seminar on like SEO, how to rank on Google for free, it would actually be quite similar to how you rank within the AI summaries. And there is nuance. So if you're a marketing wizard and you're like, I know there's more to it than just that. Yes, it is a nuanced algorithm. However, the general idea is that Google's AI summary is starting just to tell people who the best option is with some level of definitiveness, which shortcuts your research. It's the same idea as if I get on Google right now and I just type, let's say like 2 years ago. So not right now. 2 years ago, I get on Google and I type in, it's Christmas time. Let's do like what type of bread do you want to make, Noah? What type of
Oh,
bread are we
challah
making?
bread for sure.
Challah bread? What is challah
Challah,
bread?
challah bread.
Challah
Oh, it's
bread?
great.
I've never,
That is
I've
not what you
never
were
heard of challah
expecting.
bread.
Okay, okay,
Oh
go
God, no, it
sourdough.
wasn't.
Go sourdough. Go
Sourdough.
sourdough.
Okay, I was like, what is challah bread? Sourdough bread is good. Let's go sourdough bread. So if we did a search on Google 2 years ago for sourdough bread, we would see a few things. We would see like a YouTube link to someone that's like, here's your sourdough deal. We would see some blogs for sure. We would see probably some different major chefs with their cooking blogs and then the kind of mom and pop blogs. And then I would need to keep going. I would need to watch the YouTube video. I would need to read the article. I would need to dig into the website. I would need to click, 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 click until I did enough research to feel like I knew what I wanted. And now I could just say, what's the best sourdough or challah bread? Love to know what that is sometime today. I could do a search for the best sourdough, and the AI summary in Google will still have those other factors. It'll still have YouTube videos. It'll still have links to blogs, but it also will just have a summary that just says, do this. So the benefit on Google is that they've reduced your clicks, which is kind of like them playing the game with ChatGPT, where people are going to ChatGPT not because they want to keep doing research and watch a YouTube video and dig into a blog. They just want the answer. And so you want to rank in that environment. And you also want to do everything you can to kind of just be the one that's showing up. So again, it is a factor of how you build your website, how your reviews are positioned, but it still helps to advertise. It still does help to advertise in that environment because here's what ends up happening. If you happen, this is something I would have said, Noah, you and I talked about this for years. If you would have happened to have built a great online ecosystem for your CPA firm, your accounting firm, your tax firm, if that's where you find yourself, like from a digital perspective, digitally, you have a really good strategy. You would show up in the map section for free. So there's always three businesses that show up in a Google Map search, right? The top three with their 5-star ratings and their directions and column. And then you would show up with your website beneath it. Okay. So now what we're saying is for free, there's a third place you can show up, and it's the AI summary. And now I'm also saying there's a fourth place you can show up on page one, and that's a paid ad. So we're talking about new real estate that you can show up on. And so now let's kind of put more like concreteness to this concept. I'm in Kansas City. I do a search for best CPA near me, and then I see the same group show up 4 times. They're in the ad, they're in the AI summary, they're in the map section, and their website shows up beneath the maps. So if you're not tracking with me, just pause what you just listened to and do a search in your market and see if you get an AI summary, see who's showing up for the ad, if someone is advertising, see who shows up in the map, and just imagine you show up in one, two, three, or maybe all 4 places. And so it starts to eat up more real estate. And then if you're also in the AI summary, now they're not having to do more research. They might not even click your ad. That's the whole idea of the zero-click search environment. They're calling you now. They've seen enough. The AI summary said you're the best. Your ad was there with great copy. Your Google page was there with great reviews. Your website was beneath all of it too. You showed up in 3 or 4 places on page one of Google, and Google itself is in their AI summary saying you're one of the best options. Your ad, even though it didn't get clicked, just helped validate that you are someone that's trustworthy, worth talking to. They've given you the opportunity to earn their business. They're not going to go to someone else, they're going to go to you. So that's like the visual visibility ecosystem that we're in right now. It's always been this way. You want to show up in as many places as you can with Google. There's a new place to show up, and it does add that added wrinkle of Google's going to say, hey, Noah Jenks, Noah's CPA firm, Noah Jenks CPA firm is really highly recommended in San Antonio and is a place that people have found there to be a lot of quality, thoroughness, and generally responsiveness. Like Noah and his team are really responsive. You can trust Noah with your bookkeeping, tax preparation, and accounting needs. And that's all an AI generated summary based on, again, people's reviews, your website, and even your ads. And so your ad is there too. You're paying to have your ad placed, but no one's actually clicking the ad. And you just look like you are omnipresent on Google. Noah, questions on that or things you want to
Well,
chime in?
it brings up some interesting things that right now AI search it's growing. So by no means has AI search it has not overtaken traditional Google search. Okay, so people still go and Christian, you and I we talk about Google all the time. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
there are other search engines. Yes, we all know that, but Google's the juggernaut. Google's omnipresent. Google is it's synonymous with search. Shoot, when Christian, when a business becomes a verb, like that's when you know you've really made it as a company. Okay, they control the search. They're, whatever, 85-90% of the search volume nationwide.
Right,
Okay, we all we
right.
all we all know that's what we use. So traditional Google search, accountant, CPA, bookkeeper, tax professional, traditional keyword search is still predominant. So you still want to rank well for that. Traditional advertising, people still use it. People are still looking at that. People are still clicking on it. This is still valid to as a way to get in front of the right type of clients. What's going to be interesting to see, and we're not quite there yet, but AI is gaining a lot more momentum. Christian, I know you're a researcher. I am too. I read a lot of, just a lot of different, people's opinions on AI and how it's growing. And kind of the general consensus is in the next 2 to 3, maybe 4 years, they're predicting AI search is going to overtake traditional Google search. There's also a
Mm-hmm.
lot of interesting theories right now with how much money these big players are putting into AI development. Billions,
Right,
billions of
right.
dollars. Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, Bard, Grok. I mean, billions of dollars. Well, how are they going to recoup their revenue? Because right now, unless you have a paid subscription to ChatGPT, they're not actually making any money.
Right.
They're going to start.
Yeah,
They're going to start bringing in ads. They're going to start
their
bringing in ads
revenue
to
is,
AI.
it has to be. I think you're
It
right
has to
on
be.
with that. I think it has to be, and especially in this moment right now in December of 2025, the news and the headlines is Sam Altman with
Uh huh.
ChatGPT saying a red alert for his company, OpenAI. Um, and I think Anthropic, who runs
Mm-hmm.
Claude, and others would say something similar, that Google's recent Gemini release has forced their hand to try and regain market share and dominance. So there's an arms race within what is currently the LLM market, the large
Exactly.
language model AI market. Yes.
Well, and I think there's two different views. I think some people are going to say, well, that's going to taint the AI results ads, which I think
Hmm.
there's validity to that. But then there's the other side that says, oh, wait, that's actually a way you can just continue to outrank other people. That's more real estate. You
Yes.
can dominate and control. And really, that's what we're talking about at the end of this. A lot of
Hmm.
times, new clients or prospects come and talk to me, and they say, "Well, I can work with anyone in America." And I said, "No, you can't. We're not talking about new clients you can get. We're talking about who you can get seen by. You do not want to get seen by
Yes.
everyone in America. That is a gross
No.
misconception in this industry of what marketing is. Marketing is not getting seen by everybody. Marketing is getting seen by the right people. Advertising has the
Yeah.
ability to really laser focus who you get seen by. It's important while we're on the topic, Google versus Meta. It's two different philosophies on advertising. The way I frame it, and Christian, I think you would agree, is Google is proactive. Somebody is
Yes.
actively searching for CPA, tax planner, tax professional. I need tax help. Best tax preparer near me. They're searching for that thing. So let's see. I don't know about you, Christian, but I don't usually search for tax preparers in my spare time. So if I'm going to do a Google search, I'm going to do it with purpose. If somebody is searching
Yeah.
for a tax preparer, that's probably because they need a tax preparer. Shock and awe.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Yes.
they're going to go with who ranks first, who has the best Google reviews, who has the best online presence, what AI says, blah, 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 all that stuff. Okay, but that is an active search listing.
Hmm.
Meta, you can't do ads in Meta. It's different. It's reactive.
Hmm.
You're popping up
Hmm.
in front of people who may or may not need your services. So you have to have different lead magnets. You have to have different call to action. You have to have a different hook to get them in. Not saying you can't do meta ads. We typically err on the side of Google, though, because I would rather get
Hmm.
in front of the exact people who are looking for the business that you provide. That's going to be a
Yes.
higher ROI activity.
It's low hanging fruit versus a longer term, like a sales cycle. So the sales
Mm-hmm.
cycle on Google pay-per-click ads is pretty immediate, simply because, like you said, I get on Google, I do a search for tax preparation, accounting services, bookkeeping services, best accountant in New York City, whatever. I do that search because I want to find someone now, right? So that's kind of the idea is that Google pay-per-click ads is leveraging ranking for keywords that have high intent. The
Mm-hmm.
intent is very high. Meta, Facebook ads, can also be great, but no one typically gets on Meta or Facebook to find an accountant. Now, it does not mean that your ads will not work. They absolutely can. Meta and Facebook ads, it's one and the same. Obviously, we should probably just call it Meta at this point, but I
Yeah,
still like Facebook.
I
I
know.
still like
Me
Facebook,
too.
but
Me
we'll
too.
try and call it Meta. Meta, I'm a millennial. I'm old school. Is that
Hey,
a
listen,
thing?
man.
Can I be old school?
I had a Facebook account when you still had to have a .edu just to get into it.
You hacked it, didn't you? You,
Oh
or
man,
maybe you were
no, I
actually
was
in
in it.
college.
I was in
You were in
college
it.
at the time. I was in
That's
it.
wild.
I know.
So we're meta ads, and those can serve a purpose, and that purpose is you can target demographics
Mm-hmm.
more than keywords. So you can target people that have interests or have certain job titles or live in certain parts of town or are searching for certain things. So you can build really fun populations on Meta. And then it's a little bit of a different offer. Sometimes it's a little bit of a lower intent offer, like a guide, a plan, a YouTube video that you link to, or something that just gets a conversation going. You have to build a funnel. It's a little bit lower intent than Google. So that's why if you're going to spend money on ads, we were kind of riffing on, there's a lot of benefit from a number of angles with the current AI, LLM, Gemini component with AI summaries. That's a thing. Getting your Google business page to rank, that's a thing. Getting your website to rank, that's a thing. And then if you have ads there, that's great too. But also just with Google, that intent is so high that let's just pretend you don't have any of that other stuff yet. So everything we've talked about kind of up to now, you don't have a Google page that ranks well. You don't have a website that ranks well, but you still want leads. There is an AI summary and you're not in it. Ads. You pay for your leads. That's it. And that doesn't make it bad or dirty. That just makes it the tool you need to use in the setting. So if you're like, Christian, yeah, I'd love to have my website be on page one, my Google page to be on page one with 100 5-star reviews. I'd love to be in the AI summary and have AI's algorithm, their AI algorithm, think I'm the best. And none of that's happening. Then what Noah and I would tell you is right now, if that's you, you need ads and you need the Google pay-per-click ads first. Google has lots of forms of ads. There's display network ads, there's other types of ads. We won't talk about those much just for the interest of time, but pay-per-click ads on Google is low-hanging fruit. And it really works when you've got a team who understands the right keywords to target, the right copy to put on the page.
Thank you.
It can yield great results. Go ahead. Pick it up from there. Keep going.
Christian, I was just talking to a client today. It wasn't a client, it was a prospect, somebody I was talking to, and we were talking about ads. And he said, oh, I did ads before. They didn't work. They're worthless. I threw away all this money and Google scammed me. And I said, well, how much do you know about running ads? And then there was a pause on the conversation. And I just said, listen, could I do my own taxes every year and technically be compliant? Yeah, I mean, probably. I'm a sharp guy. I could probably figure it out. But if I run it myself, am I going to do it to the highest degree and get the most write-offs and the most deductions and get the highest value of what I can, deduct with the IRS? Absolutely not, because I don't know the tax code. I don't recommend any business run your ads on your own unless you just for some reason absolutely love it and you've done a tremendous amount of back-end research on how to do it. But if you don't have your keywords, keyword groupings, geo-targeting, landing pages, lead magnet, funnel, CRM, on and on and on, if you don't have all of this dialed in, it's probably not going to produce an ROI. You're probably going to look at it and be like, this is ridiculous. This is silly. This thing doesn't work. Well, no, it does work. But just bluntly, you just don't know how to make it work. I bring my car to a mechanic because I don't know how to work on an engine. I'm really good at putting gas in my car and changing windshield wipers. I'm great at those two things. But outside of that, if my car starts making a funny noise, guess what? I'm calling Carl, my mechanic, and I'm letting him take care of it. Is it going to cost me? Of course it's going to cost me, but it's also not going to cost me because it's not going to cost me my time. It's not going to cost me hours of working on it myself and probably making a lot of mistakes and wasting a whole lot more money and way too many trips to AutoZone. With that, Christian, let me run a little scenario, because the biggest question with this always comes down to, but what's the ROI? What's the return on this? How do I know it's going to work? The nice thing with ads is, opposed to marketing, again, we'll make that distinction again. Ads, we have a lot more control over what's going on. Marketing, and I know this isn't a marketing conversation, so another talk for another time. Marketing, website, SEO, reviews, social media content, blogging, all of that. That's an ecosystem where you have to do everything correctly with relentless consistency, and you will rank higher in the algorithm. We're talking about pay to play. We're talking about paying Google to rank in the right searches. Let's say we had $1,000 a month ad spend. Okay, let's just use a round number. We're going to get your ads. Your ads should run all month. You don't want to just let your ad spend go willy-nilly. Otherwise, you could torch that whole $1,000 in the first 10 days of the month. Like, you could, if your ad spend isn't mitigated and managed, you could really burn through a lot of money very fast, which is why people get upset about ads, because they say, well, Google just kept charging me. Well, that's probably because you didn't put a throttle on how much you were spending. So we're going to prorate this. Let's say we prorate that $1,000 a month over 30 days. That gives us $33 per day in click spend. Mm-hmm. Let's say an average click costs $5. Could be more, could be less. Does that sound kind of fair? Do you think we should go higher than that, Christian, for tax season?
Well, I think, generally that's a safe number.
So if we use $5 a click, that's going to give us about 6 clicks a day. All right. Now $33, maybe a little bit more, but let's use round numbers. Okay. Reverse that back up. How many clicks would we get per month? 6 clicks times 30 days a month gives us about 180 clicks per month. Okay. So now we're saying, all right, how many people could we project? Again, I don't have control over what somebody on the other side of a screen does. I can't force them to do that, but we can say, like, we can make some pretty accurate projections. Well, out of that 180 clicks, a pretty reasonable expectation for conversion would be 6 to 8%. Let's shoot in the middle, and let's say 7% of those 180 clicks converted, meaning they called you, they filled out a form, they somehow got in touch with you. They became a prospect. That gives us about 12 and a half prospects per month. But these are pre-qualified leads. They had to search for your service. They had to click on your ad. They had to fill out the form. Like, there are multiple points of resistance along the way. And if they get to the point where they've converted and you have 12 of these, it's reasonable to say these are going to be highly qualified leads. Now, will you close 100% of them? Probably not. But let's say you closed 50% of them. Let's say they're business tax focus. Well, that's 6 closed clients off of $1,000 spend. And based on the clients we work with and the people I talk to, most people charge usually anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 starting for a business tax return. On top of, then there's also the potential to cross-sell into bookkeeping, accounting, payroll, advisory, CFO, all of these other services that people provide. So if we're talking off of $1,000 spend per month and looking at kind of on a conservative estimate, let's say 4 to 6 closed clients per month, I'd say that's a pretty accurate projection of a close rate and a pretty accurate ROI that we would look to give our clients if they were considering ads. What
Yeah,
are your thoughts
no,
on
I
that?
love that. Well, I think it's spot on, and I have something queued up that we can share because I think that'll only add to what you said. So if you're listening via podcast, I'm going to walk you through some of these numbers. This is a real client. And if you're watching live, let me just make sure you can see my screen. Great, you can see my screen. So this is something we shared recently in one of our threads with our advertising team. Client that's honestly advertised with us for a long time without stopping, which is another little thread about ads. The longer you do it, the better it gets. Doesn't mean you have to advertise nonstop. You can certainly start and stop your ads, for a 3-month, 4-month period of time, pause them, come back to them. But this gentleman's been advertising with us for, I think, honestly, unbroken years.
Cheers.
This is July 1st to December 9th of 25. That's the date range. And back to what Noah was saying, how many clicks did he get in a 5-month and change time period? 516 clicks off of almost 15,000 impressions. So 15,000 people saw the ad. 516 people clicked the ad. How many of those clicks then converted to a lead on the page? 112. That is a 21% conversion rate from clicks to conversions. So
Crazy.
a click to someone that's saying, I need help. For us, a conversion is someone that fills out a form saying, I need help with this, that, and the other, or it's a phone call that came from the ad itself. So this spent about $6,500 from July to early December. And the cost per click was $12, cost per click on average. The cost per conversion would be $58.70. So let's say it differently. The cost per lead. The cost per lead is about $60. And what does this guy focus on? Tax representation. If these leads have potentially, $10,000, $100,000, $50,000 of back taxes to the IRS or state or other tax representation issues, tax resolution issues, liens and all of such, offer and compromise situations, all of the things that fall under this umbrella. If you are in that space, those are really good, juicy leads. Are all 112 perfectly qualified in closing? No. Would you spend $60 per lead to maybe have a $3,000 to $10,000 sale? Yeah, you would. Obviously, with tax representation, you also factor in filing all the old tax years and being the return filer as well. The tax preparer, you factor in all these things. Obviously, this is just one lead. If you're doing tax preparation or bookkeeping, all I'm trying to give you is this idea that we try and aim at $100 or less in cost per lead. That's what we aim at.
Mm-hmm.
We aim at a cost per lead that's $100 or less. This one is 58.70, so closer to 60. Where ads doesn't work is if you're not good at sales. That's a whole conversation for another day. And I don't say that to dunk on anyone, but you don't have to be a sales wizard. You just have to not use your email inbox or sticky notes for ads, like sticky notes on your desk that you're like, don't forget to call back such and such, right? I want you to have a system that shows you where your leads live and allows you to close them. And that comes with our ad service. And if you don't use us, that's okay. Just make sure you have a place for your ads leads to live and that you can understand these metrics. So impressions, that's the very top number. Clicks, that's the next number. Conversions, that's the next number. The final number would be customers, right? So how many of those 112 leads turn into customers? Now you have a clear as day ROI. With our system, if you use it, you can get a clear as day ROI on the value of those leads if you just update what they closed at so that you can evaluate, was $6,500 over 5 months worth the investment for these 112 leads? So this is kind of just getting really practical. This is one example, but that's one that's not uncommon. $100 cost per lead. That's ultimately what we're trying to set you up for. That's not the close. So your client acquisition cost, or CAC, is the next number down. So CPL, cost per lead, is one step above cost or client acquisition cost, the cost to actually get the client. But that's the math that you need to run and not make ads more scary than that. If you trust yourself, if you think you're good on the phone, if you have a bunch of clients that you've worked with for years and built trust and rapport and you're good at your job, then all I'm doing is helping you find more people that are looking for you. And if your ads are built well, we'll now find you because we're paying to show up. That's the main kind of crux of this idea, is bet on yourself if you're at that point and run ads to circumvent the process of getting ranked organically. It's really good to do so. But right now, if you're not there, that's where ads tactically becomes really powerful. You can get $100 cost per lead. And how many of you hopefully have fees that would, you even for tax preparation, $400-500, getting a 4 or 5 to 1 ROI on your cost per lead would be amazing. Obviously, there's
Well,
more
and
math there, but no, go ahead.
it also comes down to Christian, what is the growth goals of the firm? That's not the same for every single person. The stats
Mm-hmm.
you were just showing, those aren't abnormal, and they're spending about what, six, seven? No, I think probably a little more, about $1,000 a month. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you could spend 2,000, 5,000, $10,000 a month. I don't care. We have
Mm-hmm.
clients that are spending large spends, and we're bringing hundreds of leads to them every single month. Well, they're multi-location firms that have 30 bookkeepers on staff, and they need that kind of lead volume because they are trying to scale that way. We have smaller firms that are saying, Noah, if you brought me 100 leads a month, I would hate you.
Yeah, right.
And that's okay. You don't have to do that. So the beauty of ads is there really is a direct correlation to how much ad spend we have allows us to bring in a correlated amount of leads. And we have a lot of data historically to back that up. We've been doing this a really long time. So it's ads budget is less of a question of I'm spending so much money. It's more of a question of what's the ROI you're looking to get. If you were to, if and think about it, if you're listening to this or watching this, if you were to get this tax season 5 new business tax clients in January and February and March, 15 new business tax clients, what would that do for the ROI of your firm? Would you be able to
Mm-hmm.
cross sell them? Let's just say a business tax client on average is, I don't know, $1,500 or $1,200 for a tax return. Well, if you were to get 15 of them, That's 18,000 in gross revenue, but you spent $3,000 in ads.
Mm.
Like that's that's pretty easy math, but it's also looking at the long-term revenue of a client. If that client
Yes.
turns into a monthly accounting client, a monthly bookkeeping client, then it's not just a one-time $1,200 fee. Then it's ongoing, $500 a month. Now they're a $6,000 a year client or a $10,000 a year client. Or maybe you're doing advisory and you do, the options are endless. But the bottom line of this comes down to, are you getting seen? Are you getting visibility? Are you getting in the right searches? There, Christian, let me ask you this. There's some different kind of nuts and bolt factors that go into running an ad campaign, which is really why a lot of people they kind of bomb. Honestly,
Hmm.
talk about some of the components of a good ad campaign and some of the things that you really need to be aware of when you're running one of these.
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious one with Google pay-per-click ads is going to first, but not exclusively, but the first thing is if everything else you do with ads are great, but you don't know how to select keywords, your ads are not going to do very well.
Mm-hmm.
Every component in an ads funnel matters, but I would say a lot hinges on what keywords you target. Because there's three different types of keyword categories of keywords. There's broad match, phrase match, and exact match. I won't maybe walk through what each of those mean, but I will tell you that if you pick the wrong one, your ads are going to show up for things you did not intend them to show up for. One example would be broad match. If I gave Google the word tax service and said, I want this to be a broad match keyword, I'm giving Google permission to take the word tax service, the phrase tax service, and guess at broadly other keywords that might fit with the intent that I'm going for and the users are going for. So then you're going to show up for county tax services, government tax services, free tax services, cheap tax services. These are all keywords you don't actually want to show up for. Phrase match would be I want the phrase tax service to be in there, but maybe I'm going to have something on the front end or the back end, like best tax services, or again, free, cheap, right? So there's still some issues there. And then exact match would be I only want to show up for the phrase tax service and nothing else around it. So again, I'm just giving you a really quick primer on if you don't target keywords well, sometimes you can show up with the right keywords, but they're too expensive and therefore you don't get enough clicks. So sometimes we don't always target the most obvious keywords simply because we're working with a budget and we want to maximize clicks in an efficient way. Efficient spend is the goal. Sometimes the best keyword is just the best keyword, and you just need to pony up more money to get more clicks from it. Yeah, during tax season, all keywords that are relevant and highly valuable go up in price. It's a supply demand environment with Google Ads. So the more money pumps in, the higher the prices go. Um, so there are times, moments where it is right to use the big, expensive keywords. But most of the time, we're trying to find the efficient keywords that get you the most clicks from the right audience without saying broad match or phrase match. Google, would you help us guess? So keywords is a big thing. I'd also say once someone clicks your ad, you can do ads generated calls. So the click to your ad could be a phone call. If you have a good phone system and a sales team or an admin or a secretary that is trained to process inbound sales, then okay, great, let's do that. That's okay. That's not a bad idea. If you don't have confidence in your sales skills or sales team, then the question is, how are we getting them to take the next step? And what we do for our clients is the second most important thing, in my opinion, within an ad system. It's what happens after they click. For us, we'll put in place a survey asking questions to pre-qualify the lead and then get them on your schedule. So that's the goal. The goal is to pre-qualify and then get them on your calendar, unless you're going for an ads generated phone call. So you can do phone calls, that's great. But most of our clients that we work with, they have a combination. And some of that is going to a landing page that we build. It's not your general website. Don't direct Google traffic to your Facebook page. I've seen that too. Don't direct people to just your general website where it's like not a clear next step. You want ads traffic who's asking for help on tax preparation or bookkeeping or tax representation or accounting work to go to the appropriate page and take the next step onto getting help. And so there is still a bit of a pre-qualification so that you can go in and have your eyes open with that lead. So it's keyword, it's landing page, and then it's sales system to me. You need to know, in my opinion, where your leads are and where they're from. So our clients get a sales pipeline in our software that we give to them that would dump all of their advertising leads in a certain sales pipeline that says this is from your ads. You click the contact record and you can see their survey answers, their contact info. You can help them get scheduled really easily with you within our software too. And so now you've got visibility. I think if you pay for money on ads and you don't have a good sales pipeline, you're going to flush money down the toilet. So the three things: keyword selection, landing page, and then the sales pipeline that comes next. You can't spend money on ads without those three things being like addressed well. And that is why, back to Noah's example earlier, ads can sometimes work for a second when they're self-directed by a CPA or an accountant, and then stop working because you don't know how to manage the back end system. You got lucky for a second, and then your luck ran out. I've heard that a lot in the last decade. People that got $300 for free from Google to advertise on their own, they took the bait and they ran ads and it worked for a second, and then Google made some auto shifts and it didn't work. I don't believe that managing ads on your own is the right move. So I'll say that as my fourth thing, kind of underneath all of it. You should not run your own ads. Doesn't mean you have to work with us. I think we're excellent at it, but we're not the only ones. I think that you need to delegate something like this and pay for that service to make your spend actually effective. Same as Noah said earlier, you could buy the parts for your car repair for cheaper than you would at an auto body shop. But if you don't have experience working on cars, it's going to cost you more time. You're going to do it wrong. You're going to break the parts that you bought and have to buy them again. You're not going to install it right. And now your car's actually at risk of other breakdowns. And now all of a sudden your car is broken, totaled, and on fire. That's a little hyperbolic, but you get the idea, right? And I think that that's the case with ads, is that people just end up deciding that ads don't work because I tried it myself, or I did have someone else do it and it didn't work. And there's answers there, but generally, when you work with a skilled professional who knows what they're doing, the thing should work and yield an ROI. Your car should get fixed and get back on the road and be working in a quick and efficient manner.
Well, and to say that too, Christian, you should have clear reporting. We just showed you,
Mm-hmm.
we just showed you straight data. Like that's the data we give our clients, and we meet with them monthly to go over this data to talk about, how many leads are you getting? What's the lead quality? What's your close rate? Like we meet to talk about this stuff, but that's something, again, it doesn't have to be us. We're really good at it. We have a really good track record and a really good success rate. But if it's not us, those are other questions I would ask whoever's managing your ads. What's your reporting? What's your management? How are you communicating what's going on? Because that's another reason, much like marketing firms, why they can kind of get a bad taste in people's mouth. Well, I'm paying you to do what? I'm giving you this money every month to manage what? I have no idea what you're doing. And that's fair. If you're paying someone a couple $1,000s a month to do something, then I would expect there to be results, and I would expect there to be clear communication and clear reporting. If I bring my car in and my mechanic says, "Hey, you got a bill for $2,500," I'm not just going to fork over my credit card and say, "Okay." I'm going to say, "What did you do? And did you use cheap parts or did you use quality parts? And did you try X, Y?" Like, I'm going to want to kind of know what was going on with that repair. Now, at the end of the day, if it was done correctly, if it was fixed, if the mechanic could say, "Yeah, I did X, Y, and Z, I used these parts from these places, we checked this thing, we test drove it, everything's working correctly, there's no leaks, no blah, blah, blah," well, then that's great. Of course, I'm going to be happy to pay him because they did a service. They did a job. They performed on that job, and I am happy to pay my due of what I owe that company. And so if you're a
Mhm.
marketing firm, if your advertising specialist, because there's a lot of people who claim to be specialists, if they are not giving you clear reporting and clear data, I would really check. I would check to know the ROI. What are you getting for what you're paying for? Because ads can do incredible things for your business. We say, again, kind of hyperbolically, like they can be dumping gasoline on the fire. They can do a lot to grow a business quickly and efficiently. You don't have to do them,
Yeah,
but the leads are out there, especially coming into the new year. Like the people are out there looking. They need your
it's t
services. They need what you
it's
have.
time to go. It's
Yeah.
time to go this time of year, guys. It's time to go. Like, it's just, if you want to grow, you do need to work with someone. And like Noah's saying, that someone, if they're doing great, is worth their weight in gold if they solve this problem of running effective ads. But you have to feel the urgency right now. If you're listening to this in December or January, this is where it's time to make hay while the sun is shining. They are out there, as Noah was saying. Those leads are out there for the taking, and someone's going to get them.
Mm-hmm. They're gonna
Marketing
go
and
somewhere.
advertising they're going to go somewhere. They're going to go somewhere. They're not all going to go to H&R Block. They're not all going to go to this new AI thing, whatever it is, whatever the thing of the day is. And it's going to change tomorrow, and it was different yesterday. But I would submit to you and posit to you that most people want a human to work with, especially when their taxes are the slightest bit complicated.
Mm-hmm.
TurboTax and H&R Block and Jackson Hewitt or Liberty, whatever, all of them, yeah, they have a place. But in our experience, a lot of people will pay for that personal relationship that's not with a big chain or with a software and someone to hold their hand and get it done right. Taxes are scary and fearful, and that's why the Google internet flood occurs this time of year. People that are afraid and worried and concerned that they're going to do it wrong, and that traffic's going somewhere. It's time to go. You don't have to be with us. I'd love to see you advertise in general, not on your own, if you can trust that the person behind the steering wheel is hitting on these elements that we're hitting on and is going to actively manage it, as Noah mentioned earlier, too. Active management, not a set and forget it thing. We just happen to be in the tax and accounting space and do this all day long for just people in this profession. That gives us an edge with having quicker turnaround on building this out and knowing what levers we need to pull. When you specialize in something, it does help. So this is not exclusively on a shameless plug for us, but I would say you're talking to people that really do have a group of seasoned professionals that know how to help this industry in particular, and it is time to go. So no pressure, but if you want to grow, it is like, yeah, this is a good investment. Throw money at ads to get visibility now and then address the longer term organic visibility items later. The I want to rank for free elements later. I want to show up on page one of Google without paying to be there elements and strategies later. I think that that's what I would posit to you. And as we started with earlier, it might be during tax season this year. It might be. I don't know. Just guessing. It might be during tax season this year that either OpenAI with ChatGPT or Gemini through Google lets you start to advertise in the AI summaries itself. You might be able to advertise on ChatGPT before you know it because there is a bit of a cash crunch for OpenAI for ChatGPT if they start to lose users. They do have a paid subscription model, so they don't have zero revenue. But I'm just telling you what I'm seeing that AI ads is coming and we will be ready to launch that for clients. And it's an early adopter thing. I think that that'd be wise to do. And even if that doesn't happen in the next few months, the ads we're running for our clients right now are working quite well. We're just here to pivot and look at on the horizon and see what's coming. So that's coming. Ads in AI platforms is coming, but the ads that are available to us now work just fine. And it'll just be another tool to apply. So, my recommendation to you is if you've made it this far, grab a call with us, send us an email, go to our site, engage with us, let us know what we can do to help, and let's get this conversation on ads moving forward. And at a minimum, I do hope that you listening to Noah and I talk about numbers, metrics, AI, best practices, the key elements of an ad campaign. There's so much more known I could riff on. I hope that this is a little thought provoking. It's at least sparking ideas. Maybe it's giving you hope where you haven't had it before, that you just think ads won't work. And it's not for you, it's for someone else. No, it's for you. Google doesn't care. Google doesn't care how big your staff is. Google doesn't care how long you've been in business. Google doesn't care any of that. If you pay them money and build out a proper ad campaign, you can build as fast as you want. And we do have people that are spending close to 10,000 a month and more in ads to build their business, and they're happy to do so, getting 5 to 7 to 8 to 1 ROIs. Those are real clients. So we're not selling smoke. I know sometimes it feels like that with marketers. I know there's skepticism. I know everyone's got a bad story. Or you've never done ads in marketing and you've made it just fine to where you're at. But it is a ceiling. If you don't leverage advertising and marketing, digitally speaking, you just have a ceiling on your growth that starts to get raised when you invest in these strategies with a good team.
Well, and
Noah?
let me kind of leave us with this too, Christian. And I'm provoked by the thought and the question of, if you do what you always did, you're going to get what you always got. There's a lot of people who we talk to who have grown their business by word of mouth. They've grown it by referrals, and that's great. I love that kind of growth. It's your reputation as a business. I have no issue with that, but you hit a glass ceiling. You will naturally hit a glass ceiling, and you cannot quantify word of mouth growth. You cannot say, if you want to grow 20% year over year, you cannot quantify that growth if you're going to grow word of mouth. You have to do advertising. You have to do marketing. It's not a should you, it's a you have to. So every firm, it's the end of the year. I hope you're thinking about, what do I want 2026 to do? Where do I want to be 1 year from now? Where do I want the firm to be? Are you going to be okay if the growth is exactly where it was 1 year ago? If you are, that's fine. Maybe don't call us. But if you are looking at growing this over the next year, you should call someone. Again, we'd be happy to talk. We would love to talk. We love working with growth focused firms. It's really the only type firms we work with. We don't work with people who are just like, yeah, I'm okay where I'm at. That's not the right firm for us. We want to work with people who are very serious about their growth so that we can help them achieve those results. But you have to put one step in front of the other. Otherwise, you will be in the exact same position. And the amount of people that I
Mm.
talk to, who I talk to in 1 year, and then 6 months, 8 months, a year go by, and they're like, I really should have done this a year ago. And I said, yeah, you should have. And that's okay. Like, that's okay. You should have done it a year ago. I said that, but that's okay. We're going to do it now. And we're going to still do it. But you missed out on a year of growth. We're coming up on tax season. There are people looking for tax related services. After that, accounting, bookkeeping, advisory, tax resolution. Like, it's all there. Christian, I feel like this has been
Well,
productive. We've covered a
it
lot of
has been.
territory.
We have. I feel like we could do another hour on other
Oh,
things we haven't
we
hit
will.
or stories and case studies, but we'll save that for next time. So thanks for
Yeah.
joining us today. We appreciate you, and we're here to help.